You're listening to Cross Rhythms Plymouth 96.3 FM, and I'm joined here on the internet, I have to say, not in the studio, by Abi Brown, who until recently lived and worked and studied here in Plymouth at the Arts University. Hey, Abi, it's great to be talking with you.
Hello, good to talk to you too.
And Abi, we've kind of connected through the Arts University. They reached out to us because of your work, really, because of what you studied and what you sort of put your energy into through your kind of artistic side, and that being your faith, that being your Christian faith, and that being something that you wanted to express through your studies. So I suppose just to start the interview, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, and a little bit about your artistic side, what you're into in that, and how you kind of ended up coming down here to Plymouth?
Okay, yeah. So I'm Abby. I'm from Gloucestershire, and I moved to Plymouth in 2020 to study at Arts University Plymouth, studying illustration. And during my first year was COVID, so that was
Mm.
sort of complicated in itself. And in second and third year, I sort of realised that I'd like to maybe go into the industry of children's book illustration. And I thought that in my final projects, I was encouraged to sort of make my projects about something I'm really passionate about. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share my faith.
Mm. And so what did that look like for you with that? What kind of things did you do for those final pieces, and how did you bring faith into it?
So we have to write a dissertation. It's not as long as sort of academic subjects, but I chose to do mine on like depictions of Jesus and why he's illustrated the way he is. I sort of took it as, there's so many paintings of him as a white man,
Mm.
whereas we know he's from Israel. So that kind of how that's happened through time. And then in my final project, I chose to sort of do sequential images of some children from different faith backgrounds and show them interacting. Normally, really, I wanted to show that children quite often lead the way in acceptance and accepting for who they are, and no matter their faith background. And I think that's something we could all carry into our lives.
Yeah, for sure. And so was it something you had to kind of think long and hard about as to what you were going to do and bring into in terms of faith, or was it immediately like, actually, no, like my Christianity, my faith is so important to me, this is an obvious thing that I'm going to bring into this project? How did that sort of play out?
Yeah, it was pretty obvious to me. I had only joined a church in Plymouth at the tail end of my second year.
Okay.
So that between the end of my second year and then starting those projects in the beginning of my third year, there wasn't a lot of time, but it was something that I had sort of reignited in myself and felt that, yeah, I want to pursue this.
Yeah. And how was it received? What kind of comments did you get? Did it start conversations amongst kind of friends and things? How did that look?
Yeah, people responded to it really well. My dissertation tutor loved the subject. He was really supportive and really helpful in finding sort of the right art and the right sort of people to talk about. And yeah, my tutors and my peers really seemed to like the idea. A couple of people were a bit concerned about the interfaith work, and I think it is a tricky subject. So I was a little bit brave maybe in taking that on, but it was personal experience, so I didn't feel concerned about sharing that because it was just my lived experience. So
Yeah, totally. And so your faith then, was that something that you mentioned there that you kind of like reignited it? So had you grown up as a Christian and then come back to faith through university, or was it something that was new to you kind of in your university years?
no, I'd grown up Christian. Me and my sister and my mum always attended church as children. And then, yeah, probably lockdown made, you stop going to church, you do it on Zoom, and it gets harder to stay with it. So yeah, in my first year, I'd basically completely forgotten about it in a sense.
Sure.
And I think it would have been a lot easier if I'd had faith then. So
Yeah. I
Yeah,
can
I'm glad I
imagine.
found it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll stop for some music. We'll talk more briefly with Abby after this. Maybe touch on some of those experiences of being at university through COVID, what that was like, and then maybe what some of the things you hope to do with your illustrations and things going forward. We'll talk more with Abby right after this. You're listening to Cross Rhythms Plymouth 96.3 FM, and I'm in conversation with Abi Brown, who's a recent graduate from the Arts University in Plymouth. And the reason for our conversation, as much as anything else, is the kind of inspiration you've taken in your work and the things that you've kind of, I suppose, wanted to shine a light on through your art, through your illustrations, which is your faith and how faith interacts with our lives day to day, and that whole area. Really, you mentioned that you kind of came back to faith through university, having had some challenges with that in sort of the COVID years, particularly when, I mean, life for all of us shut down and changed dramatically. What was that period like for you? Because you mentioned in the first section you'd only just started university here. You'd only just moved to a new city. It must have been a really difficult time.
Yeah, it was really weird. I think my uni handled it as well as anyone could, because we did actually have once a week, I think initially we did go in person.
Right.
So that for an art subject is just so
Yeah.
helpful. We did then have to move fully online when we had lockdown. So I moved to Plymouth, did a few months sort of in the new city, but not really venturing anywhere other than uni and Aldi and
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of thing, and then moved back home for the lockdown. So I think I probably sort of isolated myself in that sense by not
Sure.
staying. But yeah, it was a scary time. So I felt like coming home was the best thing to
Yeah,
do.
absolutely. In a very strange, really not the way that you normally start off a whole set of university, and just that, as you say, like exploring with friends, a whole new places, all kinds of stuff that you'd normally do and just be out and about the whole time. You just couldn't do. So it must have been really difficult. Really interested in what you said in the first section, that you sort of came back to faith through second year. Was there a particular thing for you that sort of triggered that? Was there something that made you start going back to church and exploring faith again, or what led to that?
A few things. My mum basically forced me to email the student pastor. Was like, please,
Right.
Abby, just do it. um,
Good
but
old
I
mum.
walked past on my way to uni. I walked past St. Matt's because it's on North Hill.
Yeah.
So I was hearing them on like the Thursday evening having student night, and they do what do they call it? Kingdom Come nights, where they're doing worship songs. And I kept walking past thinking, oh, that sounds really nice, maybe I should do that. And it took quite a lot to get me to go. But yeah,
Mm.
that's eventually the church that I chose. And yeah, wish I'd done it so much sooner.
Yeah. And what was it that kind of came alive for you again? How did it change you? Saying that you wish you'd done it sooner. What was it that kind of really changed for you then as a result of doing all that?
Oh, loads of things. So it really helped my social life, because they have these things called small groups, and you can sign up and meet new people. And the student night as well is like a small group in itself. So you get to meet students from all the unis in the city, really.
Yeah.
So that really helped. I got so much more like focused and just kind of raring to go. I sort of isolated myself from
Mm.
most things. I'm not really a going out clubbing person, so already that's quite a lot. Like most students like to do that, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I was already a little bit on the outskirts. So meeting people at church who are pretty similar, not that fussed about it. We go for coffees instead and do little Bible studies. We went swimming. Big
Mm.
sea swimming crowd, which is cool. I miss that now.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Not so much sea in Gloucester.
No.
No, well, that's really cool and great to hear. And so, for you going forward, then, do you feel that sort of faith is always going to be something that comes into your illustrations and into your artwork? And I mean, is illustration and art something that you're wanting to take forward?
It is, yeah. I've enjoyed having a bit of a break after graduating. But yeah, it is something I want to pursue. And at the moment I'm doing a little sort of part-time job doing some community art for vulnerable children
Hmm.
and teenagers. So it's kind of marrying all my passions in helping people, and which we're all called to do, and art. So yeah, I think that could be something that I'd
Yeah.
like to take forward.
Yeah, love that. Love that. And I suppose just to close then, your experience at the Arts University, was it a good time? Did you enjoy it? Would you recommend it to other people? If you've got an artistic kind of flair and you're listening to this, is it something you'd say, yeah, get in touch with them and have a look at what they've got?
Absolutely. It's an incredible uni. My last year I was an ambassador there, and I would just talk people's ears off about how much I loved it. You got to go and see it for yourself. The facilities are amazing. Like there's people from my CU that are on craft, or yeah, all sorts of different things. They're doing glass blowing, ceramics. So, and anyone can try that as well. Like as an illustrator, I could go and do ceramics, which
Nice.
is quite cool.
Yeah. Must broaden your kind of your own creativity as well in that sense.
Yeah.
And try other things and stuff.
Yeah, it really does. And they encourage like interdisciplinary work. You collaborate with all students from all courses, and it kind of mimics the industry.
Yeah.
You'll probably end up doing something like that if you go into it. So yeah, it's an amazing place to be. I do miss it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Abby, thanks so much for your time, and yeah, we wish you all the best with your career going forward. And it'd be great to see some of your art in illustrations. Who knows? Maybe you'll illustrate some books that we'll see on shops in the future. But yeah, wish you all the best.
Thank you for having me.